guys, what's up? It's Joe Ready from Rady's Rides. I'm coming today with some big news. It's official. As of last week, I have officially retired from 18 years of teaching. And guess what? I have all of you to thank for that. This journey has been so amazing so far. It just keeps getting better and better, and I'm so grateful to be able to share it with all of you. Let me explain just this whole process, because there's a lot of things that were going on that obviously you were unaware of, and I'm not really the type of person to, air my dirty laundry or try to get people's sympathy. But I think that if I tell you a little bit about this story of going from a high school teacher to a YouTube content creator, it hopefully will help you, or maybe inspire you to do something that you really want to do. So as many of you know, I was a high school teacher. I taught social studies, a mixture of everything over the years. My final years teaching, my big love was psychology, because social studies is also known as social sciences. So I taught at the same high school for 17 years, and I'll explain why I'm not mentioning the 18th year in a second. So I was at Ridgewood High School, just retired from racing cars professionally, and decided to use my degree and get into the classroom. Things went great. Even my first year, it was a great year, and I really enjoyed myself. As the years went by at Ridgewood High School, you had some years that were better than others, but you know what? I was always the type of person to tell my students, listen, it is what it is. It's a job, and you could go to work hating every day, or you could go to work and try to stay positive. And that was something that I wanted to instill in my students and people around me is, listen, the first thing to do is, before you leave the house, is get yourself a good attitude, stay positive, and the rest will do itself. So for all those years, things were going great. And if you ever asked me, hey, Joe, do you want to quit teaching? Do you want to retire from teaching? Do you want to leave teaching? I would have said, hell no. I'm loving it. I actually was going to become an assistant principal, but changed my mind because I enjoyed being in the classroom so much and interacting with the students in that kind of setting. One thing that I did at Ridgewood High School that I'm sure a lot of you are unaware of, I did all the emceeing. So I did the pep rallies, I did the talent shows, the lip sync battles, all that stuff. I was actually known as the voice of Ridgewood. Whenever somebody needed to be on a microphone, Mr. Rady, as I was known at the school, would be on that microphone, and students would love it, and it was just great to interact with one another. And the craziest thing is, back when I was in high school, I hated getting up in front of people. So it really just blows my mind how now I get up in front of people all the time. I get in front of this camera all the time. And there was, once a time when I wouldn't do an assignment where it involved me getting up in front of the class. I would just take the zero. But anyways, so one thing that I did at Ridgewood High School that I was very proud of was I eventually taught a class in 2008 called Advanced Placement Psychology. It's a college level class, and students who take it at the end of the year, they're given a test by College Board. Everybody across the country gets the same test, and if they pass it, they get the college credit. So I was the first teacher to ever be certified to teach that class at Ridgewood High School, and we started off 2008 with just one class period, 28 students. The class got so popular that during my final year at Ridgewood High School, 2018, the 2017-2018 school year, guess what? It wound up being the largest advanced placement class. We had 5 class periods. I had 5 class periods of AP Psychology, over 130 students signing up to take a college level class. So that was something that, I've always loved psychology. I love how the mind works, especially when it comes to driving. I mean, it blows me away just what the human body and mind, what they're capable of doing, especially at speed. You're traveling 200 miles an hour in a race car, you're traveling the length of a football field every second. Let's fast forward a little bit. Now we're going to go to October of 2017. So two big things happened October of 2017. Numero uno was, guess what? We started Rady's Rides. October 22nd, 2017 was the day that I finally listened to my wife, Lori. After 4 years of her telling me to start a YouTube channel, I said, you know what? I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. Why not? I saw other people doing it at local events that I went to. Why can't I? So started Rady's Rides. Tom and I would meet up at different shows, and that's how we got the ball rolling. And remember, first 7 months of the channel, I'm very proud to say that we got to 1 million channel views, all off of an iPhone 7, AirPod as a Bluetooth microphone, and a $90 gimbal to stabilize the image coming off of that iPhone 7. The other thing, and this is where, I'm going to let you in a little bit on some things that I was dealing with over the past year and a half. We were called in, if I remember correctly, it was October 27th. We were called in down to where normally the faculty would have their meetings once a month, or if there was ever an emergency. This case, it was an emergency. We all came in and we were told, guess what? The district had decided that they were going to close down Ridgewood High School. That the powers that be felt that the students would be better served in a different way, and that all of us teachers would have to look for new jobs. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like somebody taking the rug and just pulling it out from underneath you, or it was like somebody just walking up to give you a hug, but then they punch you right in the gut. That's what it felt like. And for me personally, being that was my one school that I ever taught at, I really dedicated myself not only to my students, but to the institution known as Ridgewood High School. One thing you should know about me, and I'm sure you probably have figured it out by now, I'm very dedicated, and I have a very strong work ethic. That was just how I was raised by my parents. In 17 years of teaching at Ridgewood High School, and I'll explain why I'm not saying 18, 17 years of teaching high school at Ridgewood, I missed a total of 7 days. So I was the type of teacher that, guess what? When you came to school, I was there in the classroom. You weren't there with a substitute. Also, if your parents ever called or contacted me, I'd make sure to contact them back right away. I felt that was part of what made a teacher a good teacher, and that's why I was going to do that. Now, the reason why I don't mention 18 years is because after we were told we were not going to be kept anymore, that we were going to have to look for new jobs, the district did tell us that they would place us somewhere. But the way that they said it was like, we're going to place you somewhere, but you should probably try to find something, because here's the deal. Pasco County, where I taught in Florida, very large county, I live on one side of the county, and they could have moved me anywhere. As long as I was certified to teach that subject, they would have moved me anywhere in the district. I could have had an 1.5-hour drive to Zephyr Hills, and they wouldn't have cared, and that was where I would be placed. So I looked for a position, and guess what? High school social studies positions, there were none to be found. So what I had to do was I had to suck it up, and I had to take a job in a middle school teaching social studies. I'm here to tell you right now, probably one of the worst years of my career, and maybe of my life, to be honest with you. Middle school student is totally different than a high school student. High school student, I'm able to communicate a lot better with them. We could work things out. Middle school student, it just wasn't for me, but I had no choice. Now, while all this is going on, the great news is that I had you guys. You guys were my respite. You guys were the things that I turned to when I wanted to be happy, because I was miserable. I was depressed. I felt like, run over by a car. I felt, how could the district do this to me? I was one of the teachers in the whole county that had the highest pass scores on that AP psych test that I told you about just a few minutes ago. But it was the channel that kept me going, and it was the channel that gave me something to look forward to. And the way that you guys and I would comment back and forth, just like we do now, it really helped give me purpose back because I felt like I lost my purpose. And I felt like things were just falling apart. The great thing is now we're doing this full time. And it's amazing how sometimes a bad situation has to happen for you to finally say, hey, I want to do something different. Because when I look back, yeah, I love teaching. I love being in front of the students. There's a lot of junk that comes with teaching, the behind the scenes stuff, the paperwork, all the state mandates, district mandates, all that garbage where I don't think there's any other career where you're never an expert. As a teacher, you're never an expert. If you watch Chopped, for example, Lori and I love watching Chopped. Those chefs, they're experts. You've been a chef for 18 years, you're viewed as an expert. As a teacher, you're still looked at like you don't know what you're talking about. So that to me is just frustrating, and to be able to move away from that is phenomenal. This is a dream come true times 20. And it's crazy because I thought I already lived out my dream. I thought, I raced cars professionally for 3 years. I loved it. Eventually I had to hang my helmet up. But you know what? Here I am now getting that helmet back off. Being able to put it back on with some of these cars that I'm driving, people that I'm interacting with, people that I'm meeting, the love and support of all you guys. So I'm just here to tell you that if you're going through a tough time, especially if it involves your career, you can do it. If there's something that is driving you, something that you think that you might want to do more than what you're currently doing, investigate. Do it wise. It's not like I just quit my job and just said, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. We figured out how to do it. And we figured out that, hey, we're going to get this great support of people from around the world. I have this awesome support of my wonderful wife, Lori, and my family, and all these different dealerships and entities that now support Rady's Rides. It's just such a beautiful thing, and I'm just so glad to be able to share it with you. It's interesting because at the end of every graduation, every school year at graduation, of course, I would be one of the people that were chosen to speak, and I would always say that quote. That's so true. With the closing of one door is the opening of another. And this door that we are opening, that you are allowing me to open, it's really been a lifesaver. And it's such an amazing thing for me to be able to share my car passion with all of you. And the way that you guys help support the channel, not only from watching, but watching the ads, buying merch, doing the super chats. We're going to start Patreon and all that. It's absolutely just so humbling to be in the position that I am. And I'm so glad to be able to take all of you. We're going further on this journey. This journey is nonstop. So I'm glad that you guys are in for it because we're going for a great ride. Here's another little tidbit of information I want to share with you. So as a high school teacher, I try to get my students to believe in themselves and to follow their dreams. And it's interesting because when we're young, we're told so much about following your dreams and how important that is. Well, guess what? As you get older, you might have new dreams that pop up, or dreams that you were never able to accomplish or didn't think about accomplishing, because unfortunately, youth is wasted on the young. Sometimes we are a little young and dumb and not take advantage of situations to get us to our goals that we later learn when we're older that this is what needs to be done, and you're able to do it. So go out there and do it, no matter how old you are. Here's a story I would always tell my students once I heard this story. Back in 2008, we had that, the housing collapse with home prices, and the stock market was not doing well. People were losing jobs left and right. And it didn't matter if you were on a low-level job or a high-level job at 10 degrees. People were losing their jobs. There was a guy here in Tampa that made the newspaper during that time period. What happened was that he lost his job as an accountant. He was an accountant for 31 years at this company. Tried to find another job as an accountant, couldn't find anything. One thing that he loved to do, though, is he loved to bake. And in his family, there was this recipe for these sweet buns that people absolutely loved every time that he would bake them. He didn't have the capital. He couldn't go get a loan to to just buy a bakery or start his own business by getting a brick and mortar store. So what he did is that he went down to downtown Tampa here in Florida, asked already existing bakeries, coffee shops, so on and so forth, if you give me a little bit of shelf space and let me sell my sweet buns, I'll give you some of the proceeds from the sales. Well, guess what? They sold so great and they were selling so fast that now he has his own bakery where he's not only making his sweet buns, but a ton of other stuff. So that's just one of so many different stories, and I'm another story to help motivate you, help inspire you. How do you know? I would always tell my students, how do you know how bad you have it how good you have it until you have been in that bad situation? How do you know what the highest peak is if you've never been in the lowest valley? So it's words like those that I want to leave with you guys. And I just want to say once again, thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done. And I can't thank my wife and my family and friends and everybody else who supports Rady's Rides. Thank you. But if these are the types of things that you like to hear and see on Rady's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. If you want to help us here, keep making great content just for you, click the link in the description. Takes you right to Spreadshirt. Every little bit helps. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.